talking about my most anticipated thing for almost a decade. Where to even begin? For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Skrillex fan. Literally, my entire internet handle is themed around him. Scary Monster being a reference to his 2010 work, Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites, and 1988 being his birth year. Hell, even my fashion sense is reminiscent of him. Ever since that fateful day my dad showed me Make It Bundem back in 2012, I knew about the man. And in 2015, I heard his Ultra Music Festival set, which blew me away completely into becoming a fanboy. I've always liked music, but Skrillex has made music become a huge part of my life, basically. Anyway, enough about me. As you all know, Skrillex released 2 albums back-to-back in 2 days this year, in February, titled Quest for Fire and Don't Get Too Close, respectively. Now, when I say we waited for these albums, I mean we waited for these albums a long time. It's been 9 years since Recess. 9 years! Being a Skrillex fan for the past few years hasn't been very kind, especially with him disappearing for a whole year almost in recent memory, until he came back in 2022 with a banger new look, which I'm totally copying, by the way, even long before he first publicly mentioned that he's working on an album back in 2019, and then multiple albums later that year.
I'm just in the studio finishing my albums, and
the anticipation for these records have been huge in the community. We've had 9 years of bits and pieces of Skrillex music in the form of collabs, singles, remixes, and everyone's favorite, pop productions. But nothing until these albums coming out has been satisfying in terms of quantity. I mean, yeah, sure, 1 year after Recess we had Jack U, that was also an album, but it's a side project. And in 2019 we had a Dogblood EP and a 2-track Skrillex EP in Show Tracks. But again, Dogblood is a side project, and I hope you aren't expecting me to consider a 2-track EP satisfying quantity-wise. Now, before you get your hopes up, or before you want to brace yourselves, no, I will not be dancing in this video. If you want to see a grown man absolutely lose his shit to these albums, go watch Lynch Male Ideal's reactions. Shout out Lynch. Shout out to all the other members from the Skrill Chord as well. The people there made the months leading up to these projects and the waiting all the more fun. Now, without further ado, let's talk about Quest for Fire.
Bars be hard like a pound of bricks to go.
The album begins with a haunting but beautiful melody that will continue to make itself heard throughout the record, along with a pretty voice, Bobby raps, singing until Sonny's voice is heard saying,
"Please don't leave me like this,"
in what I would assume was a voicemail to a lover or something, and we're immediately thrown right into the beat with punchy drums. With a vocal sample letting you know that the golden boy Skrillex is still in action, the drums intensify and we're blowing down the spot for sure with a house drop that is on fire. First heard in Fred Against Boiler Room set. Powerful bass stabs punch through your ears as Bobby Raps comes back to sing the catchy lyrics and the drop ends, and the track takes a short break. But don't get it twisted, we're far from over. With a throwback to a classic Skrillex vocal sample, the second drop hits even harder than the first one does. As the track comes to a close with the melody that will continue to appear throughout the album, we move on to the second track that is absolutely just mean, Ratata. This song is as upbeat as it is confident, with acid synths courtesy of Mr. Wazo blaring in your ears right from the get-go, and Missy Elliott's cocky verses rapping away at a DJ Skrillex beat that is mean but playful and fun at the same time. There have been 3 different iterations of this collab with Missy Elliott we've heard over the years, with the first one being a lot more like a Jack U-esque party track.
Party people, put your hands up high.
The second one being the whistly house version we heard in 2018 and 2019.
It's the kind of beat to go ratata. It's the kind of beat to go. It's the kind of.
and the third one being the version heard on this album. I first heard the 2018 house version back when it was first played, and I really thought that track was dead after it was not being played anymore. But Skrill started playing the final iteration starting from 2022, and it became clear that it was gonna be on one of the songs on his project. I'm glad this collab got to see the light of day because Missy Elliott's rapping is just so catchy, and it would have been a real shame if they scrapped the song, because it seemed like Skrill wasn't too fond of either demo version that he was playing out before this third iteration came along. Now on to one of my absolute favorite tracks on Quest for Fire, Tears, with Sleepnet and Joker. Where to even begin with this track, I genuinely don't know. The pristine sound design, the immaculate compositioning, the brilliant vocal sampling, the beautiful melodies, the insane mixdown. Now I know the Skrillex's mixdowns could very well have their own masterclass at this point, but what the is this song, seriously? This song is just perfect. Everything about it, it has no flaws. I accept no counter argument. You're wrong. This song is perfect. Easily makes itself onto the top 3 songs on this album, and it ain't even close. Yo, listen, you hear that? Making bank in the jungle. I guess Flodan changed his mind on old Sonny Boy, eh? Oh, how the turntables.
Catch them, rack them, stack them. Money gotta run, my guy.
Anyways, Rumble is a bop. Everyone and their grandma was hyped for this song to release ever since it was played by Fred again in his Boiler Room set. This tune is simple but solid and catchy. Flodan's vocals bring out the raw energy the instrumental itself has even more. Skrillex's drum design really shines in this one as well. Also a cheeky teaser for Don't Get Too Close in this song in the form of Beam's vocals being sampled for
the tune, burn up the room, straight to the moon again.
I don't really got much else to say for this one. It's Rumble. Moving on to the first ever single that was released for Quest for Fire way back in 2021, Butterflies. This is a feel-good house track featuring Skrillex's signature vocal chop melodies, Forte's xylophone sounds, and Stara's upbeat, carefree vocals. It's a good time. Reminds me of the warm but windy spring weather. What bums me out about this track is the main vocal chop melody heard throughout the track is originally from a Bibi Burley and Skrillex demo called Chillin'.
Posted up in Largo, leg against the wall, man, we trapping, it was Fargo, chillin'.
And with this more EDM oriented tune being in Quest for Fire, Chillin' could have been in Don't Get Too Close, but it isn't, which is a damn shame because of how these two albums mirror each other with samples. It would have fit right in. You can even hear Bibi singing in Butterflies. Missed opportunity. The song also got a significant update on the drums for the album since its single release. I like the new album mix quite a lot.
Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale.
Inhale, Exhale, My Beloved. This is another song that easily makes it into the top 3 of this album. This song, especially the second drop and the outro with those high-pitched ping noises and the background melody, is just pure bliss to me. The second half of this song is basically my favorite piece of music I've heard in recent years in EDM. The melodies just feel ethereal almost. Luna's vocals sampled from her and Kito's song Alone With You fits the instrumental perfectly as well. I just love this song so much. I don't got much else to say about it. It's just amazing. This is the last song on my personal top 3 of this album. I don't know if it's because they were all played together back to back in the basement set, but it feels like to me, A Street I Know, Inhale, Exhale, and Tears were made for each other. They're almost like siblings. That's probably just really clever DJ work from Skrillex, but anyway, this song on its own deserves praise too. It's like an instrumental hip-hop beat turned up to 11. Fun fact about this song is that it originally was supposed to feature a certain rapper, but he got kicked out of the song after he basically sold the demo to a certain member in Skrillcord for 20 pounds, I believe. Was it worth getting kicked out of a Skrillex album for 20 pounds, buddy? I doubt it. That explains why it sounds like an instrumental hip-hop beat. The sampling in this is awesome as well, even if it's the same 2 vocal samples throughout the song. That's not a bad thing if it's used well, Alexis from Guardian. F***ing hell. Critics, am I right? Eli Kessler here has done the second drop's drum work and the percussion all over the song, I'd assume, which all sound great. Also, I believe Joyride helped on the production of this track, which is hinted at by the Smoke'em sample, which is ironically my favorite bit from the song. Who expected an Arabic Skrillex banger in 2023? Not me. The actual Arabic song the vocals originate from is apparently a wedding song, so I have the perfect excuse to play this at my wedding if I ever get married. I first heard this track in 2018 when he played it at Fuji Rock, Japan. Apparently, it has been played even before that, back in 2017 by Joyride. So I think this might be the track I waited for the longest time on this specific album. It's either this or Ratata. Good Space comes next after that. But anyway, as for the track itself, it goes so hard. I'm a huge fan of the tribal drums and the screaming sample all over the track, probably because that's all the track was for the longest time as I was waiting for it to come out. But I'd say this new take on it for the release with Naiber Guti on the vocals is a perfect match for the whole vibe. I especially love the third drop, which caught me completely off guard when I first listened to it. I'm bummed out that the original Too Bizarre isn't on either Quest for Fire or Don't Get Too Close. That version of the track is kinda left homeless now. Could have easily went into Don't Get Too Close if you ask me. They both even have blue covers. But either way, as for the juked version, I really like this spin on the original. Skrill teamed up with Posage and basically made Too Bizarre playable live. In fact, this was known among the fanbase as Too Bizarre VIP for quite a while, and I guess you could still call it that. Technically, you could also call it Too Bizarre Skrillex and Posage Remix. Whatever. I'm glad Too Bizarre is here in some form at least, because I really love the original song. Pure summer vibes all around.
Cause there is life abundance, life abundance.
I love how the track begins with Beam's optimistic vocals with the rising chords and suddenly it drops straight into Flowdance's killer verse. This track is just so raw. The drops are just the right amount of heavy for this kind of style. The vocals are amazing, and one of my favorite things about this song is the Easter eggs it has referencing tears. Fun fact, this song came to be in just around 3 weeks, according to Peekaboo. He says he was in a balcony showing Skrillex this song, and he really liked it and picked it up for Quest for Fire straight away. That's just crazy.
Just stay hydrated.
Yeah, but I watch from the bleach, bleach.
This is a Blaring Out with Eric Blair show. We're backstage at 2005 Warped Tour with Pete.
This interlude is a really nice throwback to some of his earliest days in music, being in From First to Last. It's really nice to see him embracing his past while moving on to the future as the track seamlessly transitions into...
Pretty weird.
Good Space is, like I mentioned previously, among the IDs I waited for the most in this specific album. I've been waiting for this song ever since he first played it at EDC Mexico in 2019. I really like this song. The signature Skrillex vocal chop drop is really catchy and Stara's vocals really fit the vibe of the track. Fun fact, this song was originally 150 BPM, not 160, and it had one more verse by Stara at the end, but it was longer. That version accidentally got leaked in the pre-release debacle of this album, and it's the version that got teased by Skrillex on Instagram in 2020. You can still find that version if you do some digging on the internet. Skrillex really came from making Scary Monsters in Noisia's studio and impressing them with his synth wizardry into featuring them on his own album with a collab that is one for the books right before they separate. What a full circle. This track is a remix of Josh Ben and Dylan Brady's Supersonic, but in classic Skrillex fashion, it's released as an original dubbed as a collab. I'm glad this song exists and it is out because it is just superb. The calm, otherworldly singing fits perfectly with the absolute craziness that is the drop. They are a stark contrast to one another and it somehow works wonderfully. This song also has a cool VIP that was released on Noisia's final album before they split, that was released after the Supersonic single. Fun fact, Sonny acknowledged how badly the fanbase wanted this song and he himself on the release day came and dropped a free download to the song for us in the Skrillex subreddit. What a man. I love that he included Cliptown Empyrean in the album in some form with these final 2 tracks, because I love that song so much. Really glad that song is here in a reworked form. The melody from Leave Me Like This makes a comeback here, and a robotic voice singing that I have just realized actually reminds me of the most random thing, which is this thing from 2010.
My name is Skrillex. I love to make songs.
It's a really beautiful ambient interlude leading into the final track. The emotional message in this track is beautiful. It's Skrillex and Porter's first ever collab to my knowledge, but in their earlier days in the EDM scene, they came up together. They supported each other throughout all these years, so it's a really nice message to go along with an already great song. The middle section in this track has my favorite chord stack I've ever heard. Along with the message the track has, it's just full of feels and it tears me up every time I listen to it. The reference to the Prodigy's Breathe is also appreciated. As the track comes to a close with the melody from Leave Me Like This, we are at the end of this journey of an album. The 9-year wait was worth it, I would say. Musically, sonically, everything here just sounds so good and fresh. The order of the tracks, the artwork for the cover, the musical story the album is trying to tell, and the sheer quality of all these tracks. These all feel masterfully put together. Me and my dad were actually unable to listen to and enjoy anything else other than this and Don't Get Too Close for like 2 months after these albums released. Needless to say, my verdict is a 10 out of 10 on Quest for Fire. I love this album so much. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you some know-it-all bullshit and nitpick some flaws about it. I love every single song on this album. Am I biased? Heck yeah I am, and I don't care. I was originally planning on making this video to have both Quest for Fire and Don't Get Too Close, but I'm 4 months late on making and uploading this video as it is, and if I were to add Don't Get Too Close in as well, it would have took even longer to make, so I decided on just covering Quest for Fire, at least for now. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to see me cover Don't Get Too Close as well, I suppose. Well, thank you very much for waiting for this video and watching it until the end. See you in the next one, whatever that will be about.